Hello, I'm the junior coach with David, junior squad coach, and swimmer. So you'll see me kicking around poolside of the coach with the ginger here. So today we're going to be talking about visualisation. Last week, myself and Jan done a webinar with American swimming with these two men. We have Josh Davis and Michael Andrew. Josh Davis, me and Jan didn't really know who he was, but he is supposedly a multiple Olympic gold medalist. He done really well in like the relays with the 200 free relays and stuff like that with America, former world record holder. So guy knows his stuff, even if we didn't know him. And Michael Andrews, he's very much an up and coming swimmer, American as well. He is multiple world junior champion, record holder. He was also the world short course champion in 100 IM 2017, 2018. So these guys knew what they're talking about. So what is visualisation? To be honest, I had a vague idea what it was. As a swimmer, I'd never practiced it. We maybe knew the word, but it was never anything that we thought was that important. We just trained and that was it. We didn't really think about much else apart from the physical training. So Josh gave us his definition of it. He said visualisation is a mental rehearsal, a physical response to build emotional resilience. So basically what this means is creating a mental image, so a picture in your head of what you want to happen. So for example, if you are preparing for a race, you've got to picture every fine detail, so you to execute the race, your plan, what you want to do, what you want to happen. So by doing this is your mental rehearsal. By doing this, you want a physical response. So you want the adrenaline pumping, you want your heart rate to raise, you want your breath to quicken, you want to be prepared as if you're actually going in to do the race. And by doing this, you build an emotional resilience. So what this means is that you're able to adapt to a stressful situation. If your cap rips, if your goggles leak, if you turn up late, you're not going to be stressed out about it. You'll be able to cope with that. You'll adapt because you have this emotional resilience by practicing everything in your head. I'd say that you rehearse every detail, so it can be as specific as you want. You can include every sense you can think of. You can imagine it visually, so what you would see. You can imagine how you would feel preparing for a race. You can imagine what it would sound like walking in up to the blocks. You can hear your teammates shouting on you. Even how it smells. You can smell the chlorine, or before your race you can smell the food that you're eating. It can be very, very vivid. And the mental rehearsal allows our minds and our bodies to become trained to actually do the thing. So if you keep imagining and imagine doing something, whether it's training or a race, your brain can't actually tell when it's the real thing. So if you imagine you're going up to do a race and you've practiced it so many times in your head, by the time you actually go to do the race, your body can't actually tell if it's real or not. So it just goes into its automatic mode and does it. So to explain this better, we have a little couple minute video with Michael Phelps and his coach, and just about how he used visualisation.
Well, I think we start with relaxation techniques and putting your mind in a place where you can actually visualize effectively. I know when Michael was young, I gave his mom a book, relaxation, and before he would go to bed at night, she would go in and read this progression of things to do, like clench your fist, take basically, you through a whole,
like you work through your whole
body. And actually, it got so good, she just opened the book, say two things, and he'd be asleep. He got really good at relaxing. So once you can put yourself in a relaxed state, then I tell them it's like watching a movie. It's essentially what it is. Sometimes it's like you're sitting in the stands watching yourself swim. And sometimes it's like you're in the water swimming. The key to visualization is, number one, it has to be very vivid. It has to be rehearsed many, many times. And the reason it works is because the brain cannot distinguish between something that's really vividly visualized and something that's real. So by the time Michael steps up on the block to swim a race in a World Championships or Olympic Games, he's swum that race hundreds of times in his mind before he gets up there. So then when he gets up, all he has to do is shut everything down and it goes on autopilot. His body automatically knows what to do. The brain just switches into what he's visualized. And that's what's really powerful about visualization.
When I would visualize, it would be what you want it to be, what you don't want it to be, what it could be.
Yeah.
So it's like you're always ready for anything that comes your way. So it's like if I would have a suit rip, fine, I need another suit, put it on. You know, like any small thing that could go wrong, I'm ready for.
So when should we use visualization? So we gave the example of during a race, but we don't need to always just visualize race day. We can visualize for those tough sets, those VO2 max sets, 14-100s. You know it's going to be tough, you know you're going to be in pain, but if you practice in your head going through those sets and what it will take to push yourself through the pain barrier and every stroke that you'll need to take, if you visualize that, then when it actually comes to doing it, it won't be as hard. You know that you're going to get to the end of it. Another way that we can use visualization is during a warm-up. So your coach tells you what to do, you jump in, usually quite a long set. You're just swimming, relaxed, going through the motions. You don't really need to think much during a warm-up. But as you're swimming slow, you're relaxed, you can use this time to visualize going faster. You can imagine what it would take for your body to have to go fast. So you could imagine your arms having to go faster, your leg kicks having to go faster, your breathing shorter, etc. You don't get a lot of time whilst you're swimming to actually do this, to imagine you swimming when you are swimming, apart from the warm-up or maybe a cool down, because it's when you're most relaxed. And for visualization, the most important part is to be relaxed before you do it. Right, so this video is from an American lady through the USA swimming, and she's going to talk you through how to visualize the perfect race. So try and go along with it. She'll tell you to close your eyes, etc. Try do it as she speaks through it. Okay, this is just an example of how to do it.
Have you ever visualized yourself swimming the most perfect race? I want you to relax for a moment. I know it's cheesy. Go ahead and close your eyes. No peeking. Close your eyes and relax. Take a nice deep breath and relax. Think about the perfect pool that you love to swim races in. Walk the pool area in your mind's eye and think about all the senses that you can possibly put into the experience. What does it feel like wearing your team sweats? Hopefully you're proud when you do that. You have your bag slung over your shoulder and you walk into the pool area. Do you smell any particular smells? What does it sound like? Other teams around, other kids splashing in the water during warm-ups. What do you see? What are the colors? What do the backstroke flags look like? What do the lane lines look like? Think about every experience that you can possibly imagine as you go into this perfect race. After warm-ups, you're feeling good. You know you've done the training. You know you've prepared yourself for this race. Step up behind the blocks. You hear the starter, the heat before you's in the water. When you step up behind the blocks, what does it feel like wearing your championship suit? How does it fit? How comfortable and how confident do you feel in that suit? When it's time for your race, you step up on the blocks. Feel the blocks underneath your feet. Are they slanted? Are they flat? Is it gritty? Is it smooth? Is it hot? Is it cold? What are those sensations that you feel while you're standing on the block? Feel confidence. Feel strong. The starter announces your race, and you grip with your toes. And the starter says, take your mark. And and you bend over and you grab the block. The horn goes off, you probably just flinched. And now you're in the water. Feel strong, feel smooth, feel confident. Your strokes are great. Your streamline is awesome. Swim this race with the perfect head position, perfect body position, perfect breathing pattern, perfect flip turns that hit right on, streamline off the walls. You're so smooth. Feel how good this race is and finish perfectly. Don't forget to celebrate success. Congratulations on your perfect swim.
So I can't see, I don't know if Andy actually closed my part there, but we'll say you did. So that was only nearly 2.5, 3 minutes. That's how long it needs to be. Visualization doesn't need to be something that takes an hour every week or every day. It's just 2 minutes to 20 minutes is long enough. It's just time for you to relax and picture that perfect race or perfect training session or whatever. It's not something that needs to be hours on end. 2 to 20 minutes is recommended. There we go. So is it important? It's fine me sitting here telling you to do this, do that, but is there actually any proof that it works? So we'll get 2 examples here. Michael Andrew, so the guy that we were on the webinar with, he was going to the 2017 World Junior Championships. He's quite a versatile swimmer, so he usually has a busy schedule, lots of IM, front crawl, breaststroke events, so he's always got loads of swims over the weekend. And leading up to the championship, he and his coach decided that his aim for the 50-metre front crawl would be to swim a 21.75 seconds. So very fast, especially when he'd never been under 22 seconds before. So that's quite a big chunk off a 50-metre free time, but that was his aim and that's what he was going to do. So along with physical training in the pool and in the gym, etc., he had 21.75 written in posters and placed all around his house, everywhere. That's all he had on it, 21.75. That was what he was going to do in the 50 free. So he goes to the World Championships, World Junior Championships, and goes in, does the heat swim, and what does he do? 21.75. That's good. Goes into semi-final and goes a 21.76, so almost the exact same time. And that's quite rare to go as close, but very well, that's good. Going into the final. So I think it must have been the next day he's going into the final, and it was his 3rd swim that session. He'd already swam 2 other swims before his 50 free, both of which were junior world records. So he's feeling pretty tired already, and he goes in and does a 21.75 seconds again in the 50 front crawl. Now, some people might say it's a coincidence, but we know it's not. Through his routine of visualization, when his body was tired and fatigued, all he knew what to do was swim a 21.75. He practiced it so many times in his head, his body didn't know what to do other than a 21.75. It was ingrained into him. So another thing with Michael Andrews, he did point out, is when setting goals for your visualization, never focus on something that's out of your control. Never focus on getting a gold medal or getting the silver medal. His goal was in time, because he can control what time he swims. He cannot control what medal he gets, because to get what medal, you need to control what other people around you are swimming. You need to just focus on something that you can control. If he had said he wants to do 21.75 and get the gold medal, but somebody went faster than 21.75 and took his gold medal, he might feel like he's not achieved what he wanted to do, but it's out with his control. So he made a big emphasis on only focusing on something that he can control, such as time. Never focus on medals, because that's out with your control. That depends on how somebody else swims their race. Another example is Katie Ledecky. She is the best female mid to distance swimmer in history. She holds like all the world records. And leading up to the Olympics, her and her coach decided what they wanted to focus on and what they wanted to achieve. And all she had written on her pull boy was 4:56. Nobody knew what 4:56 meant, only her and her coach, and it was on her pull boy. So people were like, well, that's a bit weird, what's happening there? She had it on her pull boy, so every training session she went to when she was using it, she'd pick it up, she'd be reminded of her goal, what she'd visualised, what she'd imagined. So it came to the Olympics, and people found out what 4:56 stood for. The 56, so 5-6, it stood for 3:56 in the 400 free. She wanted to go 3 minutes and 56 seconds in the 400 free, and the 4 stood for 8 minutes and 4 seconds in the 800 free, which would have been both world records. But anyway, she went out to the Olympics, 400 free, and she goes 3:56, exactly what she'd visualised, what she'd wanted, smashes a world record. Then comes along the 800. What time does she go? 8:04. Exactly what she'd visualised. Again, breaking a world record. So it just shows you the power of visualisation. These swimmers both had a set plan of what they wanted to do, and they go over it in their mind so many times that when it comes to the hard time to actually execute the race, their body's tired, their body knows how to push through it, their mind knows how to push through that pain barrier because it's instilled in them. They don't know how to do it any other way. And that just shows the power of visualisation for these two athletes. This is another example that we spoke about with the athletes, but this was also brought up at another CPD with an Australian coach, Wayne Goldsmith, a little while ago as well. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So at 2008, I think it was Beijing Olympics, Michael Phelps has gone in for the 200 fly final. He was going for his 10th Olympic gold medal, which was a record in itself. And he dives in, and his goggles fill up with water. He's effectively blind for the full 200 fly. I think we can all agree we wouldn't like to do 200 fly at the best of times, never mind an Olympic final with your goggles filled up. But apart from a slight glide into the wall at the first turn, which we'll forgive him, the race was pretty perfect. You couldn't tell any difference. And he touched the wall, and this was his face when he took off his cap and goggles. He looked a bit annoyed with his goggles malfunctioning on him. But he'd prepared for this. He knew what to do if his goggles did leak. And that was because when he was training with his coach Bob Bowman, in many sessions, Bob would say, Michael, give me your goggles. He would take Michael's goggles and smash them on poolside in front of him and tell him to swim the rest of the session without his goggles. And Michael then had to adapt to being able to swim without his goggles. He had to visualise every stroke. He had to know when he was coming to a wall. He needed to know how far to streamline without being able to see the markers. If you prepare for the worst thing to happen, if it happens, you're unfazed. It's building the emotional resilience again, that you can cope with the situations. So that's another great example of that visualisation helping with that emotional resilience. This was something that Josh Davis came up with. I think he came up with it. The hunter warrior swimmer. So it's like a little kind of anecdote of how we should be as swimmers. So the hunter comes from hunting for good competition, hunting out for opportunities to race, always looking for something that can improve us. So that's where the hunter comes in. The warrior, doesn't matter who's beside you, you feel free, you relish pain, you're excited, you're strong like a warrior. So this is, he went through kind of a mantra thing with being hunter warrior swimmers. We look out for the best for us, and we don't feel scared of anything. There's no fear there. We just focus on ourselves and don't worry about anything else. Yeah, so we're all going to be hunter warrior swimmers. So I know that was brief, guys, but it's quite a diverse topic, especially for you younger ones. So if there's any questions, I'm sure me or Jan will be able to answer them.